Friend's Geef is accusing me of having a baby with him, which is absolutely ridiculous. I had this friend who used to have a very strong crush on me but never confessed. It was very obvious to everyone around. We were teenagers, grew apart, dated other people, and made our own lives. He moved to another state and has a long-term girlfriend, and I have been married to my husband for almost 6 years now, with 2 beautiful babies, and I'm currently pregnant. My friend, or former friend I should say, and I barely talk. The last time we had a conversation was when my youngest was born, and he texted me saying congratulations. I replied with thanks, and that was literally it. My husband knows about him and the crush he had on me. They've met because we are part of the same group of friends. And we've met his girlfriend too. There's no problem with that. I don't reach out to him. All of our conversations before the last one were initiated by him. And they're always like, hello, how are you? Good, and you? And that's it. I don't always reply. My husband's family owns a small coffee shop, and my former friend knows about it. I spend part of my afternoons there while I wait for my daughter to finish her activities. My Mill and Sil are often there, and my 3-year-old son and I stay with them for a couple of hours. So, last Friday I was surprised to find my former friend and his girlfriend at the coffee shop. They had rented a space there for a week since he came back to our city to do some photography and video work. He's a visual artist. Part of his team was with them. It was weird, but not a big deal. We crossed paths at the shop, and we all greeted each other. They didn't know I was pregnant. And he looked kinda shocked, to be honest, which was weird and made me uncomfortable, because he started acting as if he was nervous. They hadn't met my son before. This was the first time they saw him, and although he didn't really pay much attention to him, his girlfriend did. Honestly, it all made me feel really rascally uneasy, especially when she started staring at my son so much that it gave me chills. My Sil noticed it too, without even knowing who she was. I was texting my husband about it, and decided to leave the place. My husband and I talked about it that night. He tried to give it a logical explanation. Said it was odd, but maybe he chose the coffee shop because it felt familiar, and he said maybe the girlfriend wants to have kids herself, which is why she was staring so much. Anyway, I decided not to go back until they left the coffee shop for good. They rented it for an entire week. He said he could ask his mom to kick them out, but I didn't want to because it wouldn't be fair to her business. That night she tried to contact my husband through the coffee shop's Instagram, asking if he was sure our son was really his. That was literally the only text she sent. Are you really sure that baby is yours? The text was sent around 2 to 3 a.m. A bit later she wrote, he doesn't look at all like you. So it seems like this woman started spiraling, thinking that my husband's and my son is actually her boyfriend's. She described how our baby's hair is curly and light, but he has dark and straight hair. My natural hair is curly and light, he's my baby too. My husband has no access to the shop's account, so the next day we were woken up by a call from my Sil informing him about this. My husband is completely sure I never cheated on him, because I never cheated on him. Look, we weren't even in the country when our son was conceived. My husband was sent out of the country for work for a few months. And we all went with him. This is nuts. She said that 3 years ago the former friend traveled to our city alone and she now understands why. I also got some texts from my former friend, asking if I had told something to his girlfriend, like he was accusing me of something. Accusing me of what? Tell her what? At this point I just gave my phone to my husband so he could deal with them. I also started receiving very nasty texts and voice notes from her, calling me horrible things. I wanted to just block both of them. But my husband thought it was better to keep the messages in case we needed to get the police involved. On the other hand, my husband replied to her first message, and told her he is 100% sure our son is his and that she should take her insecurities elsewhere. She asked if we had done a paternity test, and he said we don't need to. She's now demanding we do a paternity test if we have nothing to fear. Direct texts from her address to me have decreased. I'm staying locked in the house with the kids, because we're afraid this woman might do something, as she seems unhinged. Of course they weren't allowed back at the coffee shop. My Mel also refunded their money because she doesn't want more problems. And is beyond angry too. This is also so embarrassing. I can't stop crying. I don't feel in physical danger because they don't know where we live. But I am so full of rage that I can't stop crying. I know this stress is not good for the baby I'm carrying. This morning my former friend called me. My husband was still at home so he answered the call. He said his Geef does not believe anything he says, and practically begged me to please do a paternity test, so she can calm down. I already blocked them both. She's now using other accounts to comment on the coffee shop Instagram, offending me, saying that our baby is an affair baby, and I should be ashamed. At this point, I am not even interested on making her understand. I just want her to stop. Comments. Comment 1. She sounds unhinged and you need to put a restraining order on her. She isn't stopping and you need to take care of you and your family. You do not want her to escalate if she doesn't get the attention response that she wants. Comment 2. I wonder if the friend overly inflated your relationship to make the GF react so viscerally. That over-the-top reaction either means the GF is seriously mentally disturbed, or the friend is lied. I would recommend contacting an attorney for cease and desist and contacting the police for harassment. The ex-friend has a lot of nerve asking for a paternity test. What an a-high he created this mess. Update. As Cec's lawyer warned us, shit hit the fan pretty quickly. They received 2 cease and desist letters, one under Isle's business and one from us. These were written by Sile's lawyer and delivered the same day, yesterday, as an emergency matter. I knew they were staying with one of our friends. As I mentioned in the comments on my last post, my husband met with a lawyer today. He will take our case and help us out. He also warned my husband that the girlfriend might get even crazier when she finds out we're taking legal action against them, and advised him to be ready for what might be coming. Until this point, my husband was a bit scared she might try to do something to our son or me, but deep down, he didn't believe she was capable of causing us physical harm, until now. At first we talked about me and the kids staying locked at home until they go back to their hometown. But then we decided to keep our routines, with slight changes, mostly because our kids don't deserve to suffer the consequences of this woman's actions. Tuesday was alright and very calm. But today I was driving out of the garage to take our daughter to her dance lesson when the girlfriend crossed my path. I almost ran over her, because I didn't see her. She wasn't screaming, but she was like, stop. I did scream. Sorry for my little ones, but I couldn't help it. I froze because what the hell was she doing there? How the hell did she find out where we live? Our toddler was like, yeah, whatever, but our daughter was terrified. The geef moved to my side of the car. And I think she wanted to talk, but I really didn't pay attention, and couldn't hear her because Moana was playing in the radio. My daughter was crying, my son was starting to freak out, and I just kept driving in reverse to get the hell out of there. Now I'm thinking about a bunch of things I could have done. But in the moment it was all chaotic. And I just wanted to run away. I called the police when we were far from the house, and went back a few minutes later. I was shaking. Then I called my husband, and I took our daughter to the rest of her classes so she could be distracted. It worked for her, but not for me. Jesus Christ. At least in the studio we were safe and surrounded by people. I asked our mutual friends if they had given her or him our address. But everyone swears on their lives that they didn't. I believe them. Yesterday they had a reunion to which my husband and I were invited. But we refused to go because it was meant to catch up with the former friend and his geef. She didn't show up. And our mutual friends told me the atmosphere was weird, to say the least. According to what they said, the former friend asked if I was coming. Didn't ask about my husband, and kept discreetly bringing me up throughout the night. He only wanted to talk about this mess. Asked if I was mad. And dared to say things could go back to normal if I were to do the test. He then proceeded to insult my husband, saying he was controlling me. Now, listen, friends said maybe they misunderstood, but they think he implied my son could be his. I want to throw up. They shut him down because he was upsetting everyone and told him he was being lame, or so they say. That's what happened. So, the reunion ended earlier than expected. We weren't there, but I am angry. My husband is extremely angry, saying if he sees him he's going to beat this out of him. I'm extremely worried for our son now. One of my female friends told me the girlfriend texted her, asking if the former friend was actually at the reunion with them, and requested proof, to which my friend refused to send anything. I now realize it was around the same time she was messaging us on social media, insulting me and telling my husband how she was sure her beef was banging me. I can't with this level of disrespect. Mind you, I was in my pajamas, lying on the sofa like a couch potato, watching TV with my husband at that moment. So joke's on her. It was hard for my husband not to reply. But we are following the lawyer's instructions. We will proceed to sue her for defamation. It is very easy to prove our son was conceived when we were out of the country. But if needed, we'll do the paternity test, only if requested by the court, or if it helps to fix this sooner. We tried for a PO on Tuesday. We will try again to get one tomorrow, and after the girlfriend showed up at our house, and we filed the police report. Our lawyer says we will get it for sure as an emergency resource. Legally, she can't visit the coffee shop either. We're staying at my Sael's place tonight. None of my friends know we're here. And they don't even know where she lives. The kids are all right, they know something is going on. But they seem to be at peace. Our daughter was back to normal after her dance lessons. She is excited because she gets to have a sleepover with her cousin. Our son was mad. Because he misses his bed. Yeah, buddy. I'm not buying it. It's the same bed where it's so hard to put him down, lol. He gets to sleep with mom and dad tonight, though I don't think I'll be able to sleep. My husband is out installing a Ring camera at our house, just in case he, or both show up. His dad is helping him, so he's not alone, but I will feel more in peace when he comes back to us. We decided I'm staying here with our son tomorrow. I work from home, so it's not a problem for me. My husband will take and pick up our daughter from school. I'm not scared anymore, but I really am. I'm mostly very angry at both of them, but I am remaining calm for my baby. I'm just focusing on the fact that we are safe at the moment, and that's working to ease my mind. Once my husband gets back to us, I'll be totally at peace. Right now, all I want to do is cry and be with my husband and our kids. Sil, Mel, and my mom keep telling me it's like a stress release, and hormones are making it way worse for me. It's Wednesday. They're supposed to leave on Friday or Saturday. But during this weekend. Or that's what we assume. Not having them physically near us will be a great relief. I just want this to end. Now, for the next story. Husband wants to divorce and start over, can't bond with baby. Throwaway because I want to fix this and I'm paranoid about more people in our lives finding out. It's all so fucked up already. I don't want more stress. My husband, 29 male, and I, 30 female, have been married for 5 years. I gave birth to our first child in September, a girl. My husband was present for most of my labor, but things went very pear-shaped and I had to have an emergency C-section. The doctors told him to leave the room and wait outside. In short, he did not see our daughter be born. A week ago he informed me that he wants to divorce and start over on his dreams of having a family. He insists that he cannot bond with our daughter, and says it's because he didn't see her being born. He said a lot about how it's always been a dream of his, to a small, close-knit family, and now he can't have that with me because of the C-section and his not being in the room. His dad suggested therapy, but husband refused, saying he knew it wouldn't work. I've made sure he knows I'm open to the idea if he changes his mind, but he's been very insistent that he knows this can't be fixed. Part of me knows I'm basically asking for a magic spell here, but does anyone have any ideas how if this can be fixed? I'll try to answer any questions anyone may have. Comments. Comment 1. Unfounded. This is the lamest thing I've ever read, and I would say he needs to start therapy immediately. But I suspect he is making this story up to mask his real feelings. He is scared and doesn't want to be a dad. He is making up this perfect family dream thing, either subconsciously or consciously. Seeing a birth is not what creates bonding. Comment 2. Oh my god, what a toolbox. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Also hard lol L2, I don't have to do anything. Because I'm divorcing you and cutting ties with my child. But out of the goodness of my heart I'll give you $50 a month. I know you can support yourself and your child on your own, but your child deserves every penny the courts award. You are 100% correct to let the lawyers handle this from here. And tell her to get everything they can. Update 1. The several people suggested asking him to come with me to a therapist so I can get help understanding why he's leaving. He agreed and our appointment was yesterday. It didn't go badly. But it didn't go well either. He was very upfront with the therapist. He didn't try to mince words or refuse to answer questions. He told the man, paraphrasing, they got to bond the entire pregnancy. That baby is made of their body. I can't compare to that. My work started at birth and I wasn't there, so I don't feel like I ever got hired, if that makes sense. Yeah, he compared it to not having an employment contract. I get the metaphor, I guess. But I'm not sure how it translates to him not being able to bond. Several people made transphobic comments, and several other people asked if maybe my lack of gender was an issue. I assume no, because husband had known that I'm non-binary since before we started dating, but I did bring it up while we were with the therapist. Husband insists that no, it has nothing to do with anything. He didn't care about what I am but how I did. The therapist was very focused on trying to help me understand, and I appreciate that. No complaints with him. I'm still completely in the dark though, and husband has started talking about choosing a lawyer. He says he wants a clean break before daughter gets too attached. Update 2. We have filed. I have taken daughter and moved back in with my parents, who aren't very happy about the divorce but are thrilled to have the chance to nanny daughter, their words, not mine. Life was in stasis for about a week after my last post until Phil asked us to come over for dinner. He informed me that Stakes had asked for his help paying for a lawyer. He had agreed with the requirement that we all sit down and have one last talk about the situation. He opened with saying that he thinks that getting this over with would be best for me and daughter. Steeps looked a little hurt at this, so he's willing to help, but he wanted to take one last shot at fixing it. The one last shot ended up being several hours of talking. Phil bluntly demanded that Specs explain his reasoning. Steeps repeated the can't bond thing. Phil asked why. The employment contract analogy was brought up again. After much back forth, what do you mean by this? Why that? Phil just said, I'm not buying this. What's the real reason, Stex? Specs insisted till the end that what he'd been saying all along was his reasoning. He did not see daughter be born, so he can't bond. He tried, he insisted. The connection isn't there. He was supposed to connect when daughter was born. There was supposed to be a spark of connection between them, but that spark can only happen right at birth, I guess. In his mind he can't get it now. Phil asked if Stakes thought daughter wasn't his. Steeps insists he has no doubts he is daughter's biological father. Phil asked if Specs was seeing someone else. Was there a woman or another pregnancy somewhere? Steeps did not react well to this. He threw his phone down on the table and said that we were free to search it, he's not a scumbag. After that the conversation turned to post-divorce life. Steeks offered up that he'd been running the numbers and would volunteer 50-month alimony and 50-month in child support. He doesn't have to do either, mind, because we're divorcing and he wants to cut all ties with the kid, but he wants to be fair. $50 in alimony? Whatever, I have a job and a roof over our heads. I don't need it. $50 in child support. That is a lot less, whatever. But I'm refusing to stress about it. The court will handle CSS amounts. I'm making myself not be angry and let them deal with it. I admit I tuned out most of the rest of FLA's attempt to talk sense into his son after that comment. I think that was when the coffin finally nailed itself shut. I started packing when we got home and went to my parents' house the next day. I'm no longer talking to Specs, his lawyer talks to mine. We haven't spoken in almost 3 weeks. I don't think I need to tell you that he hasn't shown any concern for daughter, but here I am anyway. The day after I got there, my sister kidnapped me to her place. We got very drunk, daughter was with parents, not us, talked about everything, and I screamed a lot. I got most of it out of my system. After that we had more drinks and watched terrible horror movies. I woke up the next day with a headache from hell, but otherwise feeling better than I had in a long time. My job can't transfer me, just my luck, but I've been promised a glowing reference, and I'm cashing out what little paid leave I have left to add till paid. That is savings. Phil asked after the failed conversation if I would be cutting him off. I assured him that he might not see us as much because of how far away my parents live, and not knowing where I'll end up, but he's not getting Rhino Mustaling or daughter that easily. He was very happy to hear that. So that's where I am. Papers have been filed. Daughter and I have moved out of the house. I'm doing my best to ignore STBX's existence. Thank you all again for listening to me cry and complain over the past couple months. Update 3. Daughter turned 1 this month. She landed on Nod as her first word. I suspect this is because Phil brought home a foster to adopt dog a few months back, whose previous owners called her Nod or Nodded. Daughter loves the heck out of this dog, you guys. Phil sends me pictures of her every day to show to daughter. Ex-husband and I are just waiting on some final paperwork for the divorce to be complete. He has not contested anything. He did look the judge in the face and repeat the whole didn't see birth, can't bond thing. His lawyer did try and defend that claim. He presented studies that he claimed said things about damages to bonds when fathers weren't present, and actively involved for everything but ex-husband was. He was there and active and involved my entire pregnancy, and was present for my entire labor until things went wrong. It wasn't a case of, oh hey, you knocked someone up 5 years ago. Now bond with this kid. Daughter was definitely less than an hour old when he held her for the first time. Probably less than half an hour. And I had proof for this claim too. Among other things, I had pictures of the two of us at multiple prenatal appointments. Phil was also willing to file a statement talking about how ex and he were involved in my pregnancy. Needless to say, the judge was not impressed with my ex's lawyer's arguments. He tried to push my ex for therapy, made comments about how ex would regret this later. Ex stood stubborn with his I need to start over line. He has visitation per the paperwork. Care to guess if he's used it? He does also have to pay child support. If you've read my post history, you might remember that he offered me a gigantic $50 a month. That's all he's been paying despite the judge ordering a lot more. So that's a fight I'm going to have to steel myself for. I'm surprised he started scanning out before the divorce was even final, but he did tell me and Phil that he's not a scumbag, so in his mind he's probably just keeping true to his word or something. He's shown no interest in daughter, no other children, pregnancies or potential partners have popped up either. As best Phil can tell, X is single and not showing any interest in dating yet. I don't know how I feel really. It would make more sense if he was cheating. It would be easier to have something solid to point to, go fuck you into a tornado for making my life fall apart, and then try to move on. But all lived evidence points to him honestly thinking he has to do this. I'm in therapy. I found a place about middle of my parents and Phil. And I'm still doing freelance work. I would rate myself okay. Daughter is happy, healthy and kicking off. She will be fine. I plan to never speak to X again once this paperwork is done. I just have to wait to be able to totally start over myself.